Be honest with yourself. How many times have these words left your mouth? I'll do it tomorrow. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? We've all said it, maybe quietly, maybe with confidence, maybe as a small promise to ourselves. But let me ask you something real. What if tomorrow never comes? What if that later you're waiting for never arrives? What if the future you keep imagining quietly slips away, one excuse at a time? Today's story will open your eyes to the hidden danger of excuses, how they creep into your life so silently, and how they slowly destroy dreams without you even realizing it. So sit back. Listen carefully. Because this story might just be your story too. Once upon a time, in a quiet town somewhere in America, there lived a young man named Jude Parker. Jude was 28 years old. He was smart, funny, and full of big dreams. The kind of guy who everyone believed would make it one day. He dreamed of starting his own company. He talked about getting fit, traveling the world, buying a nice house, and living a life that mattered. He would often say to his friends with a smile, "One day, I'll start my business. One day, I'll get in shape. One day, I'll finally change my life." But there was one big problem. That one day never came. When a neighbor once invited him to join a small side business, Jude's eyes lit up. He said, "That sounds great. I'll think about it tomorrow." Tomorrow became next week. Next week became next month. And soon, the opportunity was gone. When he stood in front of his mirror, noticing how out of shape he was becoming, he would whisper, "I'll start exercising on Monday." But Monday came and went, again and again. When his boss offered him extra training at work, a chance to grow and maybe get promoted, Jude smiled politely and said, "Maybe later." Days turned into weeks. Weeks quietly became months. And before he realized it, 5 long years had passed. One evening, Jude decided to grab coffee at a small cafe downtown. As he sat by the window, sipping his drink and scrolling through his phone, he suddenly heard a familiar voice. "Jude, is that you?" He looked up and saw Michael, his old school friend. Michael looked different, confident, successful, full of energy. He wore a bright smile and carried himself like someone who had found his purpose. "Wow, Michael," Jude said, standing up to hug him. "You look great, man. What have you been up to?" Michael laughed. "A lot has changed, Jude. I started my own company 3 years ago. It's been tough, but worth it." Jude's eyes widened. "Wait, your own company? That's amazing. How did you do it?" Michael shrugged gently and said something Jude would never forget. "I just stopped waiting. I started, even when I wasn't ready." Jude laughed nervously. "Yeah, I get that. I'll start soon too." But inside, something twisted in his chest. Because deep down, he knew he had been saying those words, "I'll start soon," for years. As time went on, Jude started to notice something painful. His friends were moving forward. They were growing, changing, building lives that reflected action and courage. One friend got married and bought a house. Another began traveling across the world. Michael expanded his business, hired employees, and even started mentoring others. And Jude? He was still in the same job. Still talking about one day. Still waiting for the right moment. At night, he would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, whispering, "Why am I stuck? Why can't I change?" The answer was right there, but he didn't want to face it. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't a lack of opportunity. It was him. Excuses had quietly built a prison around his life. And every time he said, "Tomorrow," the walls got higher. Then, one morning, everything changed. Jude woke up to a phone call from his mother. Her voice was trembling. "Jude, your Uncle James passed away last night." He froze. What? Uncle James? But he was fine. His uncle was only 52 years old, strong, lively, and full of dreams. But he had always said the same thing. "I'll do it tomorrow." He wanted to start a small shop. He wanted to write a book. He wanted to travel. But he never did. At the funeral, Jude stood silently, surrounded by whispers. He had so many plans, one person said. He was always talking about what he'd do someday, said another. And as Jude listened, he felt a sharp pain in his chest, because he realized something terrifying. His uncle's story was his story too. If he didn't change now, he would end up exactly the same, full of dreams, but empty on action. That night, Jude sat alone in his room. No music. No phone. Just silence. He stared at himself in the mirror and whispered, "It's not bad luck. It's not timing. It's me. My excuses are killing me." Tears filled his eyes. For the first time, he faced the truth. All those tomorrows had stolen years of his life. He reached for a notebook, flipped to a clean page, and wrote in big, bold letters, "No more excuses. I start today." Those words felt powerful. They weren't just ink on paper, they were a declaration. The next morning, Jude woke up early. This time, he didn't wait for motivation. He didn't overthink it. He simply took one small step. He applied for a business course online. He went for a 10-minute jog around the block. He finally replied to that old email from a potential client. They were small actions, yes, but they were real. And real action is what changes lives. He stopped waiting for the perfect moment, because he realized something. There is no perfect moment. There's only now. Days turned into weeks, but this time, something was different. Every time Jude felt like saying, "I'll do it tomorrow," he would open his notebook, read his promise, and whisper, "I start today." 2 years later, Jude was a different man. He wasn't perfect. He still had struggles, still faced fear, still made mistakes. But he had changed from the inside out. He had started his own small company. It wasn't huge, but it was his, something he built with his own hands. He was healthier, more confident, more alive. And most importantly, he was proud of himself. One afternoon, as he stood in front of a group of young entrepreneurs, someone asked him, "Jude, what's your secret? How did you turn your life around?" He smiled, the same gentle, humble smile his friend Michael once had, and said, "The secret. Stop waiting. Stop saying tomorrow. Just start today. That's it." My friend, listen carefully. Excuses feel safe. They sound harmless. They give you comfort, a false sense of control. But excuses are dangerous. They are the silent killers of dreams. They steal your confidence, your time, your destiny. Every tomorrow you speak is a promise you break to yourself. You say, "I'll do it later." But later becomes never. You say, "I'll start when I'm ready." But you'll never feel ready. You say, "I'll wait for the perfect time." But there's no such thing as perfect time, only this time. Excuses steal your life in small pieces. One missed opportunity here. One delayed dream there. Until one day, you wake up realizing that your best years have quietly passed you by. So today, make a decision. A real one. Stop saying later. Stop saying tomorrow. Because there's no power in someday. The power is in now, in this moment. You don't need to take giant leaps. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to take one small step. Apply for that course. Start that project. Make that call. Write that first page. Go for that walk. Because that one step might just change your entire life. Remember, the future doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who start. Those who try. Those who dare to act while everyone else is still planning. So, my friend, if this story touched your heart, if it woke something inside you, don't let the feeling fade. Turn it into action. Do something today, no matter how small. And if you want more stories like this, stories that challenge your excuses and ignite your passion, subscribe to EasyTake Mindset. Because your change doesn't begin tomorrow. It begins right now.